Hi everyone, I'm Tom, and in this video I'm going to be talking about demos, my top demos that I'm going to be looking forward to at the UK Games Expo. It's a top 7. Why is it a top 7? Well, because it was supposed to be a top 5, and then if I got 2 things off, you know when you record a load of videos and then you left something off, but then you realise that you had your hair cut in between, so you're going to have to film the whole thing again now, otherwise it's going to switch between old you and new you. It's not your problem, I don't know why I'm bothering you with it. Anyway, yes, we're here to talk about demos that will be available at the UK Games Expo, which is going to be on the 2nd to the 4th of June at the NEC Birmingham. You can check out the full list that I've got on Board Game Geek in the description. I'll put a link to it. There's about 9 pages full of games that will be available to buy and demo at the Expo. And let's get right into it then. So number 7 is First Martians Adventures on the Red Planet. That will be available from Portal Games at stand B21. And this is kind of a re-implementation and a furthering of Robinson Crusoe, which is an extremely popular co-op game where you're struggling to survive on an island, trying to find new places on the island, encountering all sorts of various beasts and things. It was a game that we got early on into our board gaming, enjoyed, but in the end we found that we'd rather play some other co-ops. We found it a bit of a slog in the end. That's what it's intended to be. You're supposed to be surviving on this island and being beaten down and trying, just to cling on. In the end, yeah, it wasn't entirely for us. First Martians, I imagine, will be very similar. You're, trying to survive in the hostile environment of Mars instead of some kind of desert island. So I'm interested to see, what's new, what's changed, and all these things. But also, First Martians has an app which handles the scenarios that you're playing. In Robinson Crusoe it was on cards, but now it's handled all by an app, and that also leads to having scenario play. So you campaign-based play rather than scenario. I've said that. So campaigns where games will follow on to each other and follow some kind of story. I'm really interested to see what happens there. And Robinson Crusoe has a really interesting thing where you will have events that you will encounter, and based on your decisions you will shuffle the event back into a deck, and later on that decision might come back to haunt you later. I really like that about it. So yeah, First Martians, very interested to see what's new and what's going on with the app. Number 6 is The City of Kings, that will be available to demo from the City of Games at stand C3. And this is a huge, role-playing game type thing where there is this great big map of tiles. Some tiles will have enemies on, some tiles will have resources. You will send your workers to try and get these resources and adventure outwards to try and find out what's going on. And one of the big appeals of this game, just it's got all of the gameplay that sounds really interesting, but another big thing about it is the replayability. There are so many combinations of all of the things that are involved. All of these tiles that can be different in the map. The enemies get given certain traits that change from game to game, so the enemies will act completely differently, and your characters have these enormous player boards with all sorts of different statistics that you can change, and all of these things will adjust your game radically. It's really designed to be very different every time, so I'm really interested to see what's going on with the City of Kings. Number 5 is Kitchen Rush, which will be available to demo at Artipia Games at stand K11. This is from designer David Turczi. Again, as always, apologies for any pronunciation errors. This is a real-time cooperative game set in a kitchen where we will be frantically trying to make it like a well-oiled machine. But it's a worker placement game where our workers are these 30-second hourglasses. So once, I imagine that, in the tense real-time environment, you will all be frantically trying to place these workers, and then when somebody places one on the completely wrong place, everyone has to sit there because you can't move them until all of the sand has run out. So everybody's just going to be staring at this horrible placement while time just ticks away. And as a few people said in the comments as well, it reminds me of the game Overcooked, a really interesting video game that was out last year as well. So yeah, very interested because of Artipia, tend to make very, very good games. David has made great games in the past, Redacted, Days of Ire, Anachrony, and so really interested to see what's coming from Kitchen Rush. Number 4 is Dice Hospital, and you can try that out at Alley Cat Games at stand B1. This is a worker placement game set in a hospital, and to be honest, it could stop there, my interest in it, because for some I've been trying to think about this when I was really into getting hold of Clinic. I still want to play Healthy Heart Hospital, and this, really into that hospital theme, and the only thing that I can think about of why I'm so excited about games like that is just the amount of time that I spent as a kid playing Theme Hospital. That's the only thing that I can think of. You know, if any of these games include a way to treat bloated head, then it's going to be perfect for me. But anyway, Dice Hospital it's a worker placement game where we are trying to get specialists and things to treat our patients. Our patients are dice, and you know, the lower the number, the worse condition they're in. You'll be able to go to the central board and try and get all of these powers. It sounds really interesting, and I found out after I started making the list that it is co-designed by Mike Nutt, who was the designer of Waggle Dance from a couple of years ago. That is a dice game I really enjoyed. So a lot to be excited about for Dice Hospital. Number 3, you can demo at CGE's stand B12, and it is, for now, called Pulsar. That's just a working title. It's not called anything at the moment, but this has things that I tend to be interested in anyway. It's a Euro game set in space, interested in that. It has dice drafting, really like that in games, and it has tech trees in some form or other. Really interested about all those things. And the one other bit of information I know about it so far is that it is designed by Vladimir Suchy, who is the designer, among other things, of Last Will, The Prodigal's Club, and, most importantly for me, Shipyard. I really like The Prodigal's Club and Last Will, but I love Shipyard. It would be, you know, if I ended up doing a top 10, it would certainly be in there. Really love that game. And just based on that, really, I can't wait to see what else is going to come from him. You know, CGE tend to put out fantastic games. Vladimir tends to design them, and it's all coming together to seem like a really exciting thing, and that's what I'm going to be racing to demo at the expo. Number 2 is a nice cup of tea that you can try from Tony Boydell at the Surprised Stare Games stand T9. And this started out life as a big expansion for Snowdonia. If you don't know about Snowdonia, it is a game where we are trying to build the rails of Snowdonia. We are trying to clear away rubble, build the tracks, build the stations, all through placing our workers on certain actions and getting these contract cards that will give us big points bonuses. It's a really fantastic game. I've got I picked up the game at the UK Games Expo actually a couple of years ago from Tony himself when I didn't know who that was. But anyway, I've got the game. I've got a ton of scenarios for it now. Really love Snowdonia. And so this is, as I said, it started out as an expansion, but we are, rather than clearing out a load of rubble from where the tracks are going to be, most of the rubble will be on these cards that are tea estates. And you put your cube on there when you've cleared the space, and that will entitle you to earn tea leaves when there are harvests at various points in the game. These tea leaves can be converted with an action to chai, which can then be given to your workers to kind of augment their actions, to alter them, make them a bit more powerful. And what else do I know? The event track, it used to be this linear thing in Snowdonia where it was a really nice system. They went in the bag with the resources, and it kind of discouraged hoarding resources, because if everybody's hoarding resources, then the event cubes are going to come out, or if they're, you know, stuck on the board, more event cubes are going to come out, and the event cubes would make a kind of a fake company that's a lot better than us, would just kind of complete the game for us. If we dawdle too much, the game will have all of the points and we won't get to do anything. The game will end itself if we dawdle too much, and that's sort of thing I really like about Snowdonia. The event track, instead of being this this line now that changes as the game goes on, it's a circle now. So events will keep repeating that maybe didn't happen very much in Snowdonia, like there was train maintenance where everybody has to pay a steal to be able to hang on to their trains. That's going to keep happening in this game rather than just being a one-off thing to be wary of, so you can't just hang back until that's happened and then buy a train afterwards. And some events that would be really accelerated towards the end of the game, like it's filling in the stations and building tracks, will, you know, just happen with the same frequency as everything else. So that's a really interesting thing. Fog is more forgiving in it. In Snowdonia, you couldn't do certain actions if it was foggy. In Nice Cup of Tea, it just affects the tea harvests rather than the actions that you're doing. I am basing this on kind of print and play rules and things that have been out for a while, so the game could have changed for all I know, but either way, I am really excited about trying a Nice Cup of Tea. And finally, number 1. I am really excited to try this out. It's from Formal Ferret Games, who can be found at, wait for it, stand D8, had to look that up. It is the Networks Executives, which is an expansion for the Networks, which is somewhere in this vague area here. And that was one of my favourite games of last year. It's a game where we are rival TV stations who are competing to try and have the best shows, stars, ads, all of these things, and you end up with a really fantastic, strange lineup of shows. You know, all the show names are puns and things, and you get these really powerful network cards that can give you powers. It's a really, really great game. And the Network's Executives is the expansion where now a few different things are added. Now everyone has executives, so rather than just being all of the same stations, we're going to have unique advantages and disadvantages. Really excited about that. Now, instead of having the same shows available with kind of different frequencies, sports shows and reality shows were more rare than others. Now they all have the same frequency, but things have been tweaked to try and make them more fair, because sports shows gave everybody loads of viewers and things. There is also, instead of starting off with everybody started off with different shows depending on the station that you were, but they were the same. They had the same stats, they just had different names. Now there's going to be a draft for Season 0 where all of your stuff, all of your starting shows, stars and money are going to be drafted before the game begins. Really interested in that. And finally, instead of the bonus that used to happen, you'd get a bonus if you had 3 shows of the same genre. You got to take a certain card for free. If you got 5 shows of the same genre, you got the card, plus you could trade in a load of money for points, depending on how much you could afford. Now that 5 show bonus has gone, and as well as getting the card, as with the 3 show bonus, you will now get a new power card that will offer huge point scoring opportunities. And you know, really, really can't wait to try that out, the Network's Executives. And that's true for all of these games on this list. Really, really can't wait to take a look at them in the flesh, however far they are in production. And yeah, that's me. So as I said, you can check out the list and see what games you're excited to demo. I didn't mention the Tabletop Together tool as well. You can go, I believe it's tabletoptogether.com/tool, but if I'm wrong in that, it'll be correct in the description. Peter has made this tool for Essen last year, and it works with the UK Games Expo list now. You can go on there and set priorities for all of the games, and it will generate lists of, you know, where to go or your most prioritized things. It's a really fantastic tool and makes it really easy to make these lists. Okay, it looks like I need to put my attention elsewhere, so I will leave it at that. Thanks for watching, everyone, and maybe see you at the expo. Bye.